There also seems to be this sort of sinister thing going on where people who are anti-vax are pro-peptide, which I just find interesting. I feel like the logic is like, the vaccine hasn't been studied. And then the leap to, and therefore these other things that I haven't studied are like good? I don't know. It's like a logical leap.
It breaks my brain, and I think it's the fundamental hypocrisy of this whole concept. I mean, RFK has said he's a fan or has used some. That was reported in some of the articles. And yeah, the doctor in the New Yorker article who's making millions selling these peptides is like, I'm not a big vaccine guy. A lot of them don't have the data. Like, sir.
Because it's hard to be a person with a body these days when bonkers TikTok diets are all the rage.
You are listening to Burnt Toast. I'm Virginia Soule-Smith.
And I'm Corinne Fay.
Today is an extra better episode. That means if you're a premium subscriber to the show, you can stick around for this week's Indulgence Gospel segment, where we will be chatting about what I did for my birthday, what we're reading, and other life updates.
But the main conversation we're having today is about peptides. Today, we're going to talk about a topic I want to say near and dear to my heart, but it's really not.
It's been taking up a lot of brain space, taking up a lot of real estate in your brain.
It feels sort of like one of those unavoidable topics right now. Yeah. That topic is peptides. I will say that 1 year ago, we were texting about potential podcast topics, and I said, so the new weight loss thing I'm seeing on TikTok is peptide stacking.
Yep.
And now the time has come that we are saturated with peptide articles, and it's time for Virginia to learn what peptides are.
I mean, you called this. You were the soothsayer on this trend. I was like, I don't know what that is. I don't want to learn. Make it go away.
Yeah, I started seeing this on TikTok, and it took me a while to figure out what people were talking about. I had heard the term peptides like in relation to like skincare, maybe like
yes,
face cream that has peptides in it.
It was very big in skincare for a minute, definitely.
Yeah, it just took me a little while to realize what we were talking about.
Can you please help the rest of us understand what even is a peptide?
This is from a New York Times article that came out earlier this year called "Chinese Peptides Are the Latest Biohacking Trend in the Tech World." Peptides are short chains of amino acids that regulate hormones and reduce inflammation in the human body. They are best known as the P in GLP-1s, the class of drugs that includes Ozempic and Wegovy. So essentially they're amino acids, which we may recall from me just having drank that protein drink that had amino acids added into it.
If you heard our Mel Robbins rerun, you know what we're talking about. We're really in a high-protein place today.
Yeah. Amino acids are all around us. Yeah. I think part of the reason that peptides have become such a cultural touch point right now is because of like the rise of GLP-1s as just like a popular drug, weight loss drug, cultural conversation.
Well, it kind of feels like the Venn diagram of the GLP-1 diet trends and the protein girly diet trend. And it's like they met in the middle and the baby is the peptides craze.
That could be.
Terrible alien baby creature.
Well, also the whole thing behind the GLP-1s, like them being so expensive. So people trying to get them like a back route from compounding pharmacies and then, from China. This is like exactly what's happening with peptides.
Well, this makes sense because the market for GLP-1s is so huge.
Yeah.
And it's created this entire industry. Like, did anyone know what a compounding pharmacy was 3 years ago? I mean, I know they existed, don't get me wrong, but they were like extremely niche. They were where people with like really specific rare medication needs or like super fringy health food store types. Like it was like very not mainstream to go to a compounding pharmacy. And then with the rise of Ozempic, suddenly everybody's like, oh, my favorite online compounding pharmacy is blah, blah, blah. Yep. And they're very unregulated. We can link to Mara Gordon has done some good writing about this, but they're everywhere. So it makes sense that now that like Ozempic established them as an industry, they're like, what else can we compound and sell people?
I think the widespread use of Ozempic made people more comfortable with the idea of compounding pharmacies injecting themselves.
That's a big piece of
peptides in general.
Yeah. Okay, but like who is taking the peptides and for what purpose?
Okay. This is a quote from New York Magazine article, Life on Peptides Feels Amazing by Ezra Marcus.
Great, super unbiased, nuanced headline. Love it. Always great work, New York Magazine. Continue.
Clickbait. So even before GLP-1 agonists brought peptides to the masses, off-label use of the compounds was common among bodybuilders who've long experimented with exotic substances and documented the results.
Bodybuilders, always the group we should turn to for reliable, robust health information. Safety first, those guys.
Yeah, I think that could kind of help contextualize some of this also as like being sort of related to like biohacking. This is also from the same article by Ezra Marcus. Friends and acquaintances were showing up at parties newly tan, ripped, skinny, with good skin. I have so much energy. I don't even drink coffee anymore, they would say. I fixed my stomach/sleep/ligament issues. This wasn't some big secret. They were injecting peptides and would happily tell you about their stacks and offer to connect you with their plug.
Ugh.
I wanted in.
I hate the terms. I hate the lingo. Also, like, what parties does this guy go to? Everyone at the parties I go to is just another middle-aged person.
Part of the reason I like the kind of juxtaposition of those two quotes is because we're seeing something that started as kind of like a niche biohacking bodybuilder thing that now like a New York Magazine writer's friends are taking.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely like in the mainstream, you know?
I'll admit, there's a little part of my brain that read that part and thought, oh, I would like to sleep better. I feel achy all the time. I thought that was just being almost 45, that like my joints feel stiffer than they used to and blah, blah, blah. So I completely empathize with the idea that there's like a quick fix to just like reprogram all that and just like, zip, now I'm moving around, you know, all nimble. The tan part of it is like a weird added layer, but okay, we'll get there.
I mean, it's fascinating. It's just such a complicated issue. Like, there's a part of me that's like, this is bad. And there's another part of me that's like, as a fat person, as someone who has, you know, lifelong illnesses and conditions that I have to see doctors for, like, I can really understand the appeal of going outside of the mainstream medical system.
What I think is interesting is in the articles you sent me, both this New York Magazine piece and then another piece from the New Yorker, the people taking the peptides are not people managing chronic illnesses or, you know, fat folks who have been really demonized and penalized by the mainstream health system. As one doctor said, his clients are the well who want to be super well, celebrities, politicians, and models. So, like, a lot of the market for this is people who are doing just fine, no real issues, but they still want to be thinner. They still want to be more energetic, more whatever.
And there also seems to be this sort of sinister thing going on where people who are anti-vax are pro-peptide, which I just find interesting. I feel like the logic is like, the vaccine hasn't been studied. And then the leap to, and therefore these other things that I haven't studied are like good. I don't know. It's like a logical leap.
It breaks my brain, and I think it's the fundamental hypocrisy of this whole concept. I really do. I mean, RFK has said he's a fan or has used some. That was reported in some of the articles. And yeah, the doctor in the New Yorker article who's making millions selling these peptides is like, I'm not a big vaccine guy. A lot of them don't have the data. Like, sir. Yeah. And then he goes on to say he's more comfortable with anecdotal data, meaning like what he sees from his own patients. When it comes to injecting substances, I am more comfortable with double-blind, you know, placebo-controlled, peer-reviewed science. I am more comfortable with that than like what happened to the 12 other guys you injected.
Another quote from the New Yorker article, the writer says, when I asked Michael if he felt uncomfortable putting untested products into his body, he too invoked COVID shots, calling them a vaccine that also had no long-term studies. So it's like, pick your poison, he said. If the healthcare system fails to meet the needs of patients, people will look for their own solutions. This stuff is going to get a lot more popular, he told me.
I think it was very irresponsible of the New Yorker to run that take from Michael without any context. The COVID vaccine does have quite a lot of data behind it.
If you read the whole article, it's clear that the person writing it is like, this guy's an idiot.
I still bumped on it and was like, there really should have been like an editor's note here because it's so irresponsible.
It's wrong. It's just wrong.
Basic formula of the COVID vaccine had been studied for a very long time.
Yeah.
Yes, they had to work quickly to get it ready to fight COVID, but the like basic mechanisms of it, all of that had been studied for decades. Like, it's just wrong. Okay, I'm already getting worked up and sweaty about this. Should we talk about where people are getting this stuff? I mean, we've touched on it a little bit, the compounding pharmacy issue. This is really sketchy.
Yeah, so it's basically like gray market in the line between legal and not legal.
Cool.
Illegal. You can get some of them from compounding pharmacies in the US, and a lot of people are also importing them from China. It's interesting because like in the New Yorker article, they talk to like literal medical doctors, like people with MDs who are prescribing these. And then there's also people who are figuring stuff out on Reddit and then ordering stuff from China.
Or on TikTok. Like a lot of
yes.
peptide vendors you can find very quickly on TikTok.
Yeah.
And then some AI peptide vendor is like harassing you to order your peptides from them.
Yeah. And so then I think also there's like this interesting situation with the government where I think initially the FDA started kind of like banning a bunch of these. And then now that we have RFK...
He's like, guys, it's all good. Drink your whole milk, inject your peptides. Nothing to worry about here.
The end of March, the New York Times published an article with a headline, Heeding Kennedy's Wishes, FDA is expected to lift restrictions on peptides. And here's a quote from that article. It's 100% bro science, said Dr. Noah Reisman, an orthopedic surgeon in the Washington area, who said he had also observed a rise in peptide use for a variety of health-related purposes. He added, are these specific drugs likely to be dangerous? We don't know.
Comforting. I do really like the phrase bro science. It really sums up a lot of what's wrong with public health right now.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, Dr. Reisman.
Also from that article, the Food and Drug Administration is moving toward allowing compounding pharmacies to produce more than a dozen injectable peptides that were banned because of potentially significant safety risks, according to a senior administration official.
And yet these people won't do vaccines. They won't vaccinate their children. I don't... Ugh.
Yeah.
Sorry. Back to the rage. I don't understand.
Yeah, this is mentioned in the New Yorker article. It's becoming possible to imagine a future in which American regulators lose their grip on the safety and efficacy of drugs.
I mean, that is fucking chilling.
I think I was listening to another podcast about this where they were kind of comparing it to like the 1800s when people would sell those little like remedy in a bottle, like cure-all type things. Snake oil.
Yeah, Maintenance Phase has done some great episodes on this.
I can definitely see the comparison. I think it's a really interesting topic, too, because of just how widespread it has become and the kind of like, is it a diet question? It's like some people are taking this stuff for looks. Some people are taking it for like brain stuff.
There were a lot of comparisons with Adderall, like people saying it improves focus, energy, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, people are basically Googling like, I have this symptom plus peptide, and then like whatever Reddit recommends they're trying to get. If you had a problem that could be solved by a peptide, would you try it?
Not this way. I really wouldn't. And I don't know. I mean, I was thinking about this because, like I said, I was reading this and I was like, you know, I have been noticing more joint pain. Like I've had those dark moments of the soul, like at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday where you're like, do I have arthritis already? I don't know. Like what's happening? Am I just turning 45?
Yeah.
And I do want to like protect my mobility and feel healthier. But I don't trust some random substance I've bought off the internet because some bro on Reddit thinks it's a good idea. And maybe this is just like a real protective feature of my feminism. But no, I cannot take medical advice from those men.
Well, just for the record, there's also lots of women using them.
I know there are. I know. Could do a whole other podcast episode about what's going on there. Look, we all saw Handmaid's Tale. There are plenty of women upholding this bullshit all the time. But at its core, this is the kind of bro science that really makes my skin crawl, and I want no part of it. And I'm holding that together with, I don't judge anyone individual who experiments with this stuff because I do understand the pressure we're all under. I do understand how frustrating it is, especially for like legitimate medical stuff that's been going on for years and you've been dismissed by doctors. I mean, I've had migraines since I was 17.
Yeah.
I have been dismissed by so many doctors who have no interest in figuring out if there is any kind of larger story to like, does your endometriosis connect to your migraines? I am convinced there is a larger story about my health that will never be discovered because no one gives a shit about women's bodies.
Absolutely.
And there's probably ways that I could have had significantly less pain throughout my life if we had that information. So I completely understand it. And I will say, if I was 23 and all this stuff was coming out and I was still in like a heavy migraine phase, I don't know that I could be as firm in my no. Yeah. I think part of it is because I did try a lot of weird stuff in my 20s, and I'm just glad that this wasn't an option at that point.
Yeah. The stuff that really gets me is there's one or maybe a few peptides that they advertise as like helping with brain fog. You're telling me there's something I could take that would make me feel a little bit like sharper? Like, it's pretty appealing. In some of the articles, they talk about some that are like speed healing. Like someone has like a ruptured Achilles tendon and takes something that like helps with that. And as I get older, I could see the appeal of that. Like, you know, stuff heals a little more slowly.
And if we got to a point where those peptides were undergoing, you know, the rigors of science to document the pros and cons of this, I am not an anti-medication person. Every member of my family takes a shit ton of medications every day. I am pro-medication.
Yeah.
So,
same,
that sounds really exciting. I'm saying I don't want to do it while some 23-year-old influencer named Clavicular, whatever his name is telling me to do it. And I don't know if we even want to talk about him, but it's a really upsetting situation there.
Clavicular.
Clavicular.
Is how you say it.
Thank you for correcting my pronunciation.
I mean, there is a peptide that's called like the pretty peptide.
Threw up in my mouth. Another one they call the Barbie peptide.
Yeah, it could be the same one. We don't even know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're like supposed to make your skin better. There's one that makes you tanner.
Yeah, that's the Barbie one. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I dropped this picture in the outline from Clavicular. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Great.
Injecting his...
How have you never said that name before? Wow.
I keep a tight grip on my algorithm, okay? I keep the shit out of my feeds. I do not need to know about this man, except in order to do my job now, I need to know about him.
Yeah.
For anyone else who, like me, was like, Clava who? He is a 20-year-old Miami-based influencer whose real name is Braden Peters, who is, you know, just blown up online for being a disgusting bro. Sorry, there's no other way to explain it. This is a picture I dropped in the outline from his TikTok where he is injecting his 17-year-old girlfriend with peptides to looksmaxxer. And he is injecting it in her face, which I have a feeling is not normally where you inject it. And the picture is so haunting to me as the mother of a teenager.
I don't know. I was under the impression that Clavicular didn't have a girlfriend. But just for like a little background, he's someone that has become popular for Twitch streaming.
Zoomer streaming culture is what this article says.
He's like a big part of the looksmaxxing.
He also wore a hat with the N-word on it.
Literally just like last night, he was hospitalized after a suspected overdose. So,
he was hospitalized for an overdose?
Yes, because he takes meth for weight loss.
Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. He's also been charged with domestic violence. And
I feel like we don't even need to talk about Clavicular. But
well, except this is why I think we need to talk about him. I agree. It's a train wreck of a situation. But he is like the extreme version of this bro science culture. Like the number of teenagers, like teenage boys who are going to be looking up to someone like him, this like 20-year-old on YouTube, like they have huge influence. They really shape and normalize what kids think they should be looking like, what they should be doing. And so the fact that he does have this huge reach and uses all these mind-blowing terms, talks about your ascension as part of your like looksmaxxing glow up. Like I do think it's part of it. And just the fact that someone like him is buying into it is a reason to be skeptical of peptides, full stop, in my opinion.
I think the looksmaxxing thing is also a really interesting conversation connected to like the attacks from our government on like trans healthcare. Because on the one hand, we have these young men who are taking gray market drugs to look more masculine. And the FDA is like, yeah, let's work on making this easier to access. And on the other hand, we have people who want to access hormones who can't. And it's just interesting.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah. Wild hypocrisy, for sure. On a related note, the big defense of all this kind of stuff is like, it's your body and you should be able to do what you want. There was a quote from one of the, like, I think it was in the New Yorker piece, from like an early 19th century scientist saying, like, if we hold nothing else sacred, it's the right to do what we want with our own bodies. And I was like, how many of these Maha guys are pro-choice? Very few. So cool. So the right to do it your own body if you are a cis white man who is intent on looksmaxxing yourself. Oh, I hate it all.
Raises a lot of interesting questions for me.
I mean, it is just really fucked up that they're using body autonomy anywhere in this conversation.
In some sense, it is body autonomy.
Yeah, and for trans people to be able to access gender-affirming care without it being banned and policed to the degree that it is, and for women and anyone with a uterus to do what they want with their body would be cool. I mean, I think the reason the clavicular stuff made me so mad is it's just such like a blatant display of his cis male privilege. I mean, he's doing such strange things. There's a thing about him like smashing his cheekbones in order to reshape his face, which obviously is cry for help stuff and like really just, you know, like some significant body dysphoria going on there. But he's also kind of creating this cult of we all should push our bodies to these extremes so that we can achieve all of these things. And he's able to perform, like publicly perform these destructive acts on his body without, I mean, he has now been arrested for certain things, but like without people being like, oh, this person should be locked up. You know, like it's like, oh, he's allowed to do that. It's all part of his like brand and it's a joke and whatever. And like it's normalized. And that's not the way we would react to a person of color or a trans person doing any of that.
I think there's a way in which the lookmaxxing thing, in some ways, there's a lot of crossover with like body liberation and body autonomy stuff too, because the looksmaxxing thing, it's like how you look is like your destiny. It's like, it's really important. And body positivity is like, it's fucked up how much importance we place on like how people look. So I can kind of see like where these things cross over, you know, like he's saying it's really important how people look. And so I'm going to change how I look. And people who are into like body liberation are like, it's really important how you look. And I'm going to like reject that.
We're agreeing on the importance society places on these things.
Right. But I do feel like there's a way in which he's kind of like saying something that hasn't been so widely accepted before. I don't know.
What if he is actually a body liberation performance artist and the whole thing has been an immersive art experience to help us understand the extremes to which
I mean, I could really see that in some ways.
God, I want that to be true, but I don't think it is. I think he's just a 20-year-old asshole. Sorry.
Yeah. But there definitely is a performance element. And like, I feel like if you see him in interviews, he seems like he's putting on an act. I think, But
yeah. Well, he's realized what clickbait is and he's running with it.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree. He is also like the extreme end of this whole conversation. And I didn't mean to like make us spend so much time talking about that horror show. Do you think there are other influencers who have been on your radar like earlier on, like a year ago when you were first clocking this trend, who have helped bring it into the mainstream? And how should we be holding them responsible?
There definitely are. I don't know that I could tell you who. I will say when I started seeing it on TikTok, I wasn't like, oh, these are people I follow. It was kind of like, who are these people talking about peptides? Mm-hmm. There was kind of like a note that went really viral on Substack like a couple months ago. So this person went viral on Substack, Laura Riley, who runs like a very popular fashion magazine Substack called Magazine.
Okay.
I feel like it's French. I don't know how to say it. But she was sharing like all of the different treatments she had done in January alone.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, it was like Botox, blah, 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 like IPL, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I think she had peptides in there. I'm sure there are people who are like influencers in the sense that they're like shilling peptides. Like they could be importing peptides and selling them to other people. I think they're also being used by people like Laura Riley, like probably other fashion influencers who are maybe not like advertising it, but would maybe tell you that they're taking them.
I think it's going to be a similar conversation to Ozempic, where in the first year it was like a lot of speculation, like that has to be an Ozempic weight loss, but like people were keeping it kind of secret. And now it's become much more blatant and people are documenting their journeys. And I think we're clearly seeing a similar trend here.
Yeah. I mean, now that we're saying that, I'm also curious, like, other than me texting you about it a year ago, like, how did peptides kind of come across your radar?
I admit this comes from like maybe years of being a health journalist. There are certain topics that come up all the time and I just kind of white noise them because I'm like, ugh, this is obviously a scam, but to figure out how to document and thoroughly report out and show that it's a scam requires a lot of legwork. Like, I'm really grateful to the New Yorker article writer because I thought they did a great job. They're a doctor and really dove deep into the research and the history of all of this. And what's maddening to me is that, as we've been saying, this is bro science. There's a lot of risks. There's a lot of unproven data here. A lot of like maybe potential, but nothing solid. But because it is a trend, a diet trend, really championed in particular by men, it is normalized and celebrated. You have Andrew Huberman, Joe Rogan, like all the big bro science guys getting into this trend. And so then we have to take it really seriously and like dive into it and figure out what's going on. And I get so grumpy about it. So I think I've been ignoring it as much as possible is a long way of answering your question. Because I just kept thinking, this is intermittent fasting. This is macro counting. This is like another, male diet culture thing that everyone's going to take seriously just because white men think it's good. And they're not smarter. They have no insights. Men will do anything except go to therapy. So now they're doing peptides.
Do you remember the first time it came across your radar otherwise?
No one's jumping out. I mean, it was, you texted me about it. I tried to avoid the conversation for a year. And then I saw the New York Magazine piece, the New Yorker article, and was like, okay, fine, we got to deal with this. And here we are.
Yeah. Here we are.
So, Corinne, are peptides a diet?
I mean, I always have trouble saying a straight up yes or no to that question. I think peptides definitely could be a diet.
Mm-hmm. I have no problem saying the way they are currently being used and marketed is 100% a diet.
Yeah.
Would love it to turn out to be a great solution to all of our health woes and, actually get some solid science behind it. But at the moment, straight up diet. All right, should we do better?
Yeah, what's your better?
Well, I figured since we were doing a science-y wellness episode, I should confess a new science-y wellness thing I'm really into.
Oh, God.
Okay.
What if it turns out to be a peptide?
It's definitely not a peptide. I'm not injecting anything. I'm not swallowing anything. Okay, I'm holding them up for the camera. Do you know what these are?
It looks like a gummy candy.
They're silicone.
Oh, yes. It's like a toe spacer.
They're toe spreaders. Yes.
This feels like a very TikTok wellness.
Totally owning it. I got into them because there is a Instagram fitness person I like named Petra Fisher, who is all about like mobility-based fitness for aging well and like staying active longer. And as I mentioned, I feel like I wake up in the morning and my body is just like turning into sawdust a little bit.
Sounds like you need a peptide.
I mean, I have a vulnerable market, but I'm trying to avoid that. And instead, I'm spreading my toes.
Okay.
So I've been wearing them. So Jack got them too. Petra has like a whole foot exercise program you could do. I didn't make it past the first video because I'm not super committed to this. But the first exercise was just trying to like insert all of your fingers in between your toes to like see how much space you could get between your toes. And I have to say, my toes are pretty flexible. They're not the part of me that's falling apart. But doing that exercise with like spreading your toes, it does kind of like change the way your foot feels, the way your legs feel. Like it does kind of like travel up your body in an interesting way. And Jack tried it and he could barely spread his toes at all because he's been wearing construction boots forever and his feet are all squished. And so then he bought us these toe spreaders. And now we walk around the house wearing our toe spreaders. And it's like a pretty wild difference in your feet. So this is my butter right now. I'm pretty into it.
What does your 12-year-old say when she sees you walking around with toe spreaders?
She's kind and supportive, as you can imagine.
Oh, good.
No, not at all. She's like, why are you so cringe? I mean, if you have foot pain, I do get some foot pain, and like my lower back tightness is often related to like tight calves, tight feet. That's something to experiment with. And Petra's feet has lots of like very easy exercise things. The other one she's getting me into is in the morning, I'm trying when I'm standing at the kitchen sink to hold onto the edge of the sink and do a couple squats up and down, like supported squats. We can drop in the Instagram reel. And it really helps loosen up my back, which always hurts first thing in the morning, and kind of like get my core and my glutes engaged. Yeah, I mean, I'm basically looksmaxxing my feet is what I'm saying. So that's my butter.
I'm like, how will that foot fetish website feel about this?
Yeah, tell my Wiki Feet page.
Wiki Feet.
My toes have gotten spread out.
Oh, God. This is
I
getting a little
assume somebody out there really likes that.
Oh, God.
We will not be including a photo of my feet wearing the toe spreaders. Well, it's for paid folks. Okay. Y'all paid. You can see my feet.
Oh, my God.
All right, Corinne, what's your butter?
My butter is this protein shot. Just
no,
kidding.
It's not. You get that out of here.
Well, since we're doing a science episode, I'm like, now I can't even do this like sincerely, but I wanted to recommend this stuff that I've been putting on my face. It's from the brand Merit Beauty, and it's called Instant Glow Serum. It could have peptides in it. I don't know. I've never looked at the ingredients, but you don't need to inject it. You just kind of like shake the bottle and like pat it on your face. And I did it before our photos.
You did, so and you were glowy.
If I look good in the photos, that's why. And I also like to do it before we record the podcast. I feel like I need to put on makeup, but I don't wear makeup. So I'm like, what do I do? So I'm like, okay, I've done all I can do. And now I'm done.
I love that. Well, I love a glowy butter, and also I encourage everyone who's spreading their toes to write in so I feel less alone on that journey. And this was a great episode, and I can't wait to hear what everyone thinks about peptides. Thank you for walking us through all of that, Corinne. It was fascinating and disturbing. Up next, it's time for Indulgence Gospel, our new bonus segment. This week, we've got some unfiltered personal life updates for you, plus what we're reading. This Indulgence Gospel is just for Extra Butter subscribers. So if you are a free listener or on the Just Toast tier, be sure to click the link in your episode description or go to burnttoastpodcast.com to join us. Okay, so make sure you are following us in your podcast player. I just want to say, if you were listening on Spotify, I only recently discovered you can leave comments over there. Spotify listeners, I am sorry we've neglected you for so long. I am now checking the comments and delighted to know you're there. And if you are listening on Spotify or Apple or anywhere you listen, please scroll down, tap the stars, all 5 of them, and leave us a review. It really helps us grow and helps new listeners find conversations like these.
The Burnt Toast podcast is hosted by Virginia Soul-Smith and Corinne Fay. You can follow Virginia on Instagram and Threads at _Soul-Smith and on Blue Sky at Virginia Soul-Smith. You can follow Corinne on Instagram at SelfieFay, on Blue Sky at Corinne Fay, and on Patreon at Big Undies. This podcast is produced by Kim Baldwin. You can follow Kim at The Blonde Mule on all platforms and subscribe to her newsletter at theblondemule.com.
The Burnt Toast logo is by Deanna Lowe. Our theme music is by Faraday. Our video editor is Elizabeth Ayiku, who also runs the Me Little Me Foundation, a virtual food pantry supporting multiply marginalized folks recovering from eating disorders. Learn more and donate at melittlemefoundation.org. And Tommy Heron is our audio engineer. Thanks for listening and supporting anti-diet, body liberation journalism.